I spot the cream envelope instantly, its gold embossing catching the morning light as it peeks out from the stack of bills and flyers in my mailbox. My heart skips. This isn't Madeline's wedding invitation. Autumn leaves crunch under my feet as I hurry back up the walkway to my apartment, clutching the envelope against my chest. The paper feels expensive between my fingers, thick and textured. I settle at my kitchen counter and slide my finger under the seal, careful not to tear it. Inside, I find a collection of cards: the formal invitation, a response card, and a detailed itinerary. My name is printed in elegant calligraphy, Miss Renee Jenkins. I smile, running my finger over the letters before turning to the weekend schedule. The smile freezes on my face. I flip through the cards again, slower this time. There must be a mistake. But there isn't. I'm listed as a regular guest. Not a bridesmaid, not maid of honor. Just a guest. Like Madeline's college roommate or Dad's business associates. A cold weight settles in my stomach as I scan the itinerary. Professional photography at 2 p.m. Bride with parents, groom with parents, bride and groom with groom's family, bride and groom with bride's family, parents and brother Noah. Noah. My younger brothers included. I am not. Just 3 months ago, Madeline and I had wine on my balcony, and she gushed about her plans. We'll have to find you the perfect bridesmaid dress, she'd said, squeezing my hand. Sisters forever, right? Sisters forever. The words echo in my head, bitter now. My mind drifts back to our childhood bedroom twin beds, with matching floral comforters, glow-in-the-dark stars on the ceiling. During those nights when Dad's voice boomed through the walls and Mom's tearful replies followed, Madeline would crawl into my bed. We'd huddle together, whispering secrets and dreams until the house grew quiet. I'll always protect you, she promised once, her small hand finding mine in the darkness. And she did. When Tommy Miller pointed at my face in 4th grade and loudly asked what was wrong with me, Madeline stepped between us. Nothing's wrong with her, she'd said, chin raised. God just loved her enough to give her an extra brushstroke. He was more careful with her than with the rest of us. The memory stings as I stare at the invitation. What happened to the sister who once defended my birthmark as a mark of divine favor? I reach for my phone, scrolling to Madeline's name. My hands are shaking as I press call, rehearsing calm, reasonable questions in my head. Renee, hi. Her voice sounds guarded when she answers, lacking its usual warmth. Hey, Maddie, I just got the wedding invitation. I pause, giving her a chance to jump in with an explanation. She doesn't. I noticed I'm not listed in the wedding party or family photos. The silence stretches between us, heavy and uncomfortable. Right, about that. She hesitates. I hear a murmur in the background, Jake's voice, though I can't make out his words. We decided to keep the wedding party small. Noah's a groomsman, I say, my voice steady despite the hurt churning inside me. Jake wanted him. They've gotten close, with the golf lessons. I thought I'd be standing with you. You said sisters forever when we talked about your wedding. Another pause. Longer this time. When Madeline speaks again, her voice has dropped to nearly a whisper. Renee, please understand. We're going for a really soft, minimalist aesthetic. And your birthmark might kind of stand out. The words hit like a physical blow. My free hand moves instinctively to my left cheek, fingers tracing the edges of the port wine stain that covers a third of my face. In the photos, she adds, as if that makes it better, Jake's family is very particular about appearances. I end the call without answering and drive to my parents' house in a daze. The familiar kitchen, with its faded yellow curtains and the scent of Mom's cinnamon tea, has always been a refuge. Today, it feels like walking into a trap. You spoke to Madeline? Mom asked the moment I step inside, her expression carefully neutral. I nod, settling at the kitchen table. Did you know? Mom busies herself with the kettle. Dad lowers his newspaper just enough to glance at me over the top. You know how important appearances are to the Thompsons, he says with a dismissive wave of his hand. Jake's father is on the hospital board with half the town's elite. So you agree with her? The betrayal cuts deeper now, expanding beyond Madeline. Mom sets a mug of tea in front of me, not meeting my eyes. Sometimes we have to accept what's best for the event, not for ourselves. The tea steams between us, untouched. I stare at my mother, this woman who taught me to stand tall, who once told me my birthmark was a beauty marno, suggesting I should accept being erased from my own sister's wedding photos. I leave without drinking the tea, without another word. In my car, parked at the end of their driveway where they can't see me from the house, I finally let the tears come. They slide hot down my cheeks, both cheeks, the marked and unmarked skin equally wet with grief. What would you do if your most trusted family member asked you to hide a part of yourself for their perfect day? The question echoes in my mind as I drive away, already knowing my answer will change everything about this family forever. The Pinterest notification pops up on my phone. Madeline Jenkins has added you to Dream Wedding. I shouldn't look, but curiosity pulls me in like a tide. I freeze at a board titled Flawless Family Photos, filled with portraits of perfectly matched families in cream and blush tones. Every face unblemished, every smile symmetrical. Not a single visible difference among them. My phone buzzes with a text from Emma, one of Madeline's bridesmaids. Just finished another makeup trial. Your sister is obsessed with everything looking perfect. The makeup artist said she's been asked about coverage options for imperfections 3 times now. You okay? I set the phone down, fingers suddenly numb. Coverage options. The words echo as I walk to the bathroom and stand before the mirror, examining the port wine stain that covers my left cheek. In certain light, it almost glows a rich burgundy against my olive skin. The memory surfaces unbidden: Madeline at 12, me at 9, walking home from school. Tommy Miller pointing at my face, sneering, "What's wrong with her?" And Madeline, small but fierce, stepping between us. Nothing's wrong with her. God just loved her enough to give her an extra brush stroke. He was more careful with her than with the rest of us. My phone rings, interrupting the memory. It's Mom. I let it go to voicemail but listen when the notification appears. Linda, I don't know what to do. Mom's voice, not intended for me. She must have accidentally called while talking to Aunt Linda. We've always tried to work around Renee's situation. School photos, family portraits, but a wedding is different. Jake's family is very prominent, and Madeline deserves her perfect day without complications. I hang up, handshaking. Complications? Is that what I am to them? My email pings. The wedding photographer's name appears in my inbox. Dear Miss Jenkins, your sister provided your contact information regarding the upcoming celebration. She mentioned you might require special accommodation for the family photos. I'd like to discuss lighting and positioning options that would help minimize any areas of concern. I deleted without finishing. Accommodation. Minimize. Concern. The sanitized language of shame. Looking back in the mirror, I really look. My birthmark isn't just part of my face, it's mapped the geography of my life. It's determined where I stand in rooms, how I turn my head in conversations, which side faces the camera. Your birthmark is like a brushstroke from God, it makes you unique, Madeline once said, defending me. Now she suggests heavy makeup coverage options through surrogates and excludes me from her wedding party. I touch my face, tracing the birthmark's outline with my fingertips. This is me, I whisper to my reflection. All of me. My phone rings again. Aunt Linda this time, not a misdial. I heard what happened, she says without preamble. It's not right, Renee. Her words land like a balm on raw skin. Finally, someone in my family seeing the injury for what it is. After we hang up, Emma arrives with wine and fierce loyalty. Your sister is being horrible, she announces, pouring generous glasses, and your parents are enabling it. Later that night, Marcus from work calls, having heard fragments of the story. My family didn't come to my wedding because my husband is black, he tells me. Sometimes the family you're born into isn't the family that deserves you. His words stay with me as I search my closet the next morning, looking for an old photo album. I find it under a stack of winter sweaters, childhood, captured in fading Polaroids. There it is on page 12. Madeline and me in plastic tiaras, draped in Mom's old scarves as royal robes. I'm 7, my birthmark vivid against my smiling face. Madeline is 10, her arm thrown protectively around my shoulders, both of us beaming without reservation. I carefully remove the photo and find a silver frame in my desk drawer. It fits perfectly. Then I sit with a notepad, drafting and redrafting a message to accompany it. 2 hours and a dozen attempts later, I have the words, "Thank you for helping me realize not everyone who calls you family actually sees you as part of the picture." I wrap the framed photo carefully, slide it into a small box with my note, and add the response card marked, "Will not attend," where it asks for my RSVP. My hand shakes as I seal the envelope, but my resolve doesn't waver. The package feels impossibly heavy as I walk to the mailbox at the corner. I stand there a moment, my hand resting on the blue metal lip. Dropping this in means no reconciliation, no last-minute change of heart. I release the package into the darkness of the mailbox. The metal door clangs shut with surprising finality. Walking home, I expect regret to follow me like a shadow. Instead, I feel something else entirely, something that takes several blocks to identify. Relief. For the first time in 30 years, I've stopped accommodating the discomfort my face causes others. I stopped making myself smaller, less visible, less present. The autumn wind brushes against both cheeks, the marked and unmarked skin equally caressed by the evening air. I turn my face fully into the breeze, hiding nothing. The church bells chime across town as I sit cross-legged on my living room floor, my laptop open to a mindfulness meditation video. Right now, Madeline is walking down the aisle in her custom Vera Wang dress, arm-linked with Dad's. My phone buzzes again, the 5th time in 30 minutes. Cousin Rachel, everyone's asking where you are. Are you sick? Aunt Linda, are you okay, sweetheart? I understand if you couldn't come. Uncle Robert, your absence is noticed. Hope you're not ill. I set the phone face down without responding. What would I say? Sorry, couldn't make it. My face doesn't match the wedding aesthetic. Instead of dwelling on what's happening across town, I follow my carefully planned day. The lavender-scented bath soothes muscles I didn't realize were tense. The face mask, ironically, one that promises flawless skin, makes me smile as I apply it evenly across both cheeks. What surprises me most is the peace settling over me like a soft blanket. There's no regret clouding my mind, no second-guessing my decision. The relief is almost dizzying. After my bath, wrapped in my softest robe, I find myself pulling the old photo album from the bookshelf. Inside are the remnants of a childhood that suddenly seems 4 and 2 sisters with matching grins, arms wrapped around each other as if nothing could ever separate them. There's the Christmas when Madeline gave me half her candy because a relative had forgotten my stocking. There we are at the beach, 16 and 13, sunburned and laughing, my birthmark clearly visible because I'd sweated off the makeup Mom insisted I wear. The realization hits me like a physical blow. I've been silent about my pain for decades. Every time Mom suggested I do something about my face, every time Dad positioned me at the back of family photos, I smiled and nodded and turned the other cheek, the unmarked one, toward the world. No more. I reach for my phone with sudden resolution. Opening the camera, I position myself near the window where the afternoon light streams in. No filter, no strategic angle, no makeup, just me, birthmark and all. My thumb hovers over the capture button. 3 deep breaths, and I press it. The caption takes me 4 attempts. Too angry, too bitter, too apologetic. Finally, I type. It's okay. I don't need to be in the picture. I just thought I was part of the family. My finger trembles as it hovers over share. 1 click and this private pane becomes public. I press it. Within minutes, the notifications begin. Heart emojis from close friends. Supportive comments from coworkers. Then something unexpected, a share from someone I don't know, with the caption, "This touched my soul." How many of us had been erased from our own family stories? By morning, I wake to thousands of notifications. 10,000 likes, shares in the thousands, comments numbering in the hundreds. As I scroll, disbelief mounting, I see that my small moment of truth has erupted into something far beyond my control. News sites have picked up the story. Wedding rejection goes viral. Strangers are sharing their own stories of family exclusion in the comments. I have vitiligo, and my cousin asked me not to be in her wedding photos. I never told anyone how much it hurt until seeing your post. My daughter has a facial scar from an accident. She's only 8 and already learning to hide. Thank you for showing her another way. 3 different news stations have sent interview requests. A facial difference advocacy organization has reached out asking if I'd consider becoming a spokesperson. My private pain has become a public conversation. The first call comes from Mom at 7:43 a.m., followed by 3 more in quick succession. I let them all go to voicemail. When I finally listen, her voice progresses from confusion to anger to tearful pleading. Renee, what have you done? Everyone is calling us. The second message is higher pitched. The Thompsons are asking questions. Jake's mother called me. By the third, she's crying. I don't understand why you're doing this to us. We've always protected you, always made sure you felt included despite your condition. Next comes Dad's text, blunt and dismissive. Fix this embarrassment immediately. You've gone too far this time. It's nearly noon when Madeline calls from her honeymoon. I answer this one. My composure hard won through a morning of deep breathing. How could you? She demands, her voice thick with tears. This was supposed to be the happiest time of my life, and now everyone's talking about your post instead of my wedding. I didn't mention your name or your wedding, I reply, my voice steady despite the tremor in my hands. I shared my truth. Your truth? She spits the words. What about family loyalty, privacy? That's rich coming from you, Maddie. Her voice drops to a whisper. Jake's family saw it. His mother asked if I was ashamed of you. Some of our wedding guests messaged me asking why you weren't there. They said they didn't see you in any of the ceremony photos. Do you have any idea how humiliating that was? I close my eyes, absorbing the revelation. People noticed my absence. They questioned it. I'm sorry you felt humiliated, I say finally. I know how important appearances are to you. After we hang up, I sit in the stillness of my apartment, trying to process what's happening. I never expected this. I'm not an influencer or a public speaker or an activist. I'm just Renee Jenkins, the woman with the birthmark who finally stopped hiding. My phone pings with a new email notification. A producer from Morning America wants me to share my story. What happens when a private family rejection becomes a public conversation? I never expected to become the voice for thousands who felt invisible, but as my trembling fingers reach for the keyboard to respond, I realize my next move will show us all what true courage looks like. The call comes on a Tuesday morning while I'm stirring honey into my tea. The producer's voice is warm, almost reverent. Miss Jenkins, your story has touched so many people. We'd like to invite you to share it on Morning Conversations with America. My spoon clatters against porcelain. The show reaches millions, mostly women over 50, who send prayer chains and vote in every election. Women like my mother. I spend hours considering whether to accept. This isn't about revenge. It's about the thousands of comments from people with visible differences who've endured similar rejections. Their stories haunt and deserve to be acknowledged. I'll do it, I tell the producer when she calls back. But I want to focus on acceptance, not my specific family situation. She agrees immediately. That's exactly why we chose you, Renee. Your dignity speaks volumes. Dad's call comes that night, his voice carrying that false casual tone that always precedes a threat. This family business needs to stay private, he says without preamble. Your grandfather left the lake house to me, and I determine who inherits it. Remember that before you go embarrassing us on national television. Within hours, Mom appears at my door, uninvited. Sweetheart, she says, slipping past me into the apartment. Her perfume, the same lily scent she's worn since childhood, fills my entryway. Family matters should stay private. That's how we were raised. You're only worried about privacy now that people are seeing the truth. I counter. She sighs. Jake's family is mortified. His father sits on boards with people who watch that show. Jake himself calls Nexus lawyer voice in full effect. Public disparagement has legal consequences, he says. I'm asking you, as family, to reconsider. Just before bed, my phone dings with a text from Noah. I should have said something at the wedding. No apology, no commitment to do better. Just an acknowledgement that comes too late. The studio lights are warmer than I expected. The makeup artist worked carefully around my birthmark, enhancing my features without trying to conceal what makes me different. Catherine Mills, the host, leans over during the commercial break. Remember, this is your story to tell. Take your time. The red light blinks on, and suddenly we're live to millions of viewers. Renee, your post about feeling excluded because of your birthmark resonated with thousands. Can you tell us what happened? I take a deep breath. I'd rather not focus on specific family details. I begin. What matters is that I spent decades believing I needed to minimize myself to deserve inclusion. I don't mention Madeline by name. I don't describe the wedding invitation or my parents' dismissal. Instead, I speak about living 30 years with a visible difference in a world obsessed with flawlessness. This birthmark doesn't define me, I say, my voice growing stronger. But how people respond to it defines them. When I check my phone afterward, messages flood in, not just from friends, but from strangers. A woman whose burn scars kept her from attending her son's wedding. A teenager with alopecia whose yearbook photo was airbrushed without permission. They all say variations of the same thing. Thank you for speaking up. I thought I was alone. That night, I start a blog. I call it the Picture Perfect Family Myth, and write about the gap between the stories families tell themselves and the painful truths they hide. The myth of the perfect family is perhaps the most dangerous story we tell ourselves, I type. It leaves no room for our authentic selves, only the versions others can tolerate. I write until dawn breaks, the words flowing like a river breaking through a dam. With each paragraph, I feel lighter, cleaner, more myself. Comments appear almost immediately from people sharing their own stories of conditional acceptance. Your words gave me courage to look in the mirror again. Writes someone with facial scarring. I've been hiding my true self from family for decades, admits another. Their vulnerability becomes a mirror, reflecting my own healing journey. 2 days later, Mom texts, we should talk things through. Sunday dinner? I craft my response deliberately. I need time and space. I'm establishing boundaries now that should have existed long ago. I hope someday we can have an honest relationship, but that requires acknowledging the harm done, not just moving past it. I won't be coming to dinner. I set my phone to silent and place it face down on the coffee table. Since the invitation arrived, my shoulders relax completely. When Emma asks about my Thanksgiving plans, I realize with quiet surprise that I feel no obligation to spend it with relatives who see me as an inconvenience. I'm thinking of hosting a friend's giving, I tell her, for all of us who need a holiday without apologies or conditions. Count me in, she says without hesitation. I hang a new mirror in my entryway larger than the old one, positioned where the morning light hits it directly. Each day, I look at my reflection fully, no angle or shadows to minimize my birthmark. This face me whole, complete face is the one I'm finally ready to show the world. Not just on television or my blog, but in everyday moments where authenticity matters most. I check my lipstick one last time in Aunt Linda's guest bathroom mirror, shade that complements rather than distracts from my birthmark. My therapist, Dr. Chen's voice echoes in my mind. Remember, you're not there to convince them. You're there to speak your truth. 6 months have passed since Madeline's wedding. 6 months of unanswered calls gradually tapering to tense text messages. 6 months of rebuilding myself while they whispered about my absence. Emma waits in the hallway, scrolling through her phone. Ready? She asks, squeezing my elbow. I nod, my heartbeat steadier than I expected. As I'll ever be. The living room falls silent as we enter. They're arranged like a tribunal, Mom and Dad on the floral love seat, Madeline perched on an armchair, Noah leaning against the fireplace mantel. Aunt Linda hovers near the kitchen doorway, arms crossed. You brought someone. Mom's voice carries that familiar note of disapproval. This is a family matter, Renee. Emma is family to me, I reply, the words coming easier than they would have 6 months ago. She stays. Dad clears his throat. This has gone far enough. Your mother hasn't slept properly in months. The Hendersons asked if you were in some kind of institution. We told them you were having a difficult time. Mom interjects, twisting her wedding band. A nervous breakdown. It was kinder than explaining you'd abandon your sister. Abandoned? The word hangs between us. I was never invited to be part of it in the first place. That's not fair, Madeline says, tears already welling. You're twisting everything to make yourself the victim. Do you know what it's like having my wedding remembered as the one where the sister didn't come? You stole my moment. I take a deep breath, feeling the practiced words rise to my lips. I've listened to you my entire life. And that's the problem, Dad interrupts. You've always been too sensitive, making mountains out of molehills. No. The single word silences the room. Even Emma looks surprised at the steel in my voice. The problem is that I spent 30 years believing that love meant making myself smaller, easier to digest, less visible. I pull a small photo album from my bag, opening to a marked page. Here's me at 7, positioned at the back of every family photo. Here's me at 16, makeup caked on my face for Noah's graduation. Here's the Christmas card where I'm turned at an angle to hide my left side. Mom's face crumples. We were protecting you. From what? I ask, setting the album on the coffee table. From feeling like I belonged exactly as I am? Our family has a certain image, Dad says, his jaw tight. The Jenkinses have always prided ourselves on appearances. I finish for him. But at what cost? I don't need your approval to value myself anymore. Madeline stands, pacing now. This isn't just about your birthmark. It's about how you've always needed to be different, to make everything about you. My wedding was supposed to be perfect. Perfect for whom, I ask? Your rejection hurt because I loved you so completely. I believed you when you said, sisters forever. Remember when you told me God gave me an extra brushstroke? What changed, Maddie? The question hangs in the air. Madeline opens her mouth, closes it, then sits back down. Dad pushes himself up from the love seat. I won't sit here and be lectured by my own daughter about family loyalty. His footsteps echo through the hallway, followed by the decisive slam of the front door. Mom's controlled facade finally breaks. She sobs not the performative tears I've seen my whole life, but guttural, genuine cries that bend her forward. Madeline stares at her hands. Jake said it would look awkward in the photos, his mother thought. I shouldn't have listened, but I did. Noah steps away from the mantel, approaching me for the first time. I knew it was wrong, he says quietly. At the wedding, people kept asking where you were. I said you were sick, but I knew. I'm sorry, Renee, I should have said something. You're all sorry now, I say. But would you be if I hadn't walked away? If I'd just shown up and stood where I was told, hidden when asked, like always? Aunt Linda moves from her corner, positioning herself beside me. I've watched this happen for years, she says, her hand finding my shoulder. This family has a history of hiding what we think are imperfections. My sister Darlene, your grandmother's cousin, had a clubfoot. They kept her home from family weddings. My own daughter's learning disability was our family secret until she struggled so much in college that she dropped out. She looks at my mother. I regret not speaking up sooner. The weight of Aunt Linda's words settles across the room. An elder saying, Renee is right, creates a seismic shift I feel in my bones. What happens now? Noah asks. I look around at these people whose blood I share, whose approval I once craved more than oxygen. That depends, I say, on whether any of you are ready to see all of me, not just the parts that fit your perfect picture. I stand before 20 women at the community center, my hands steady as I gesture to the projected image behind me, a photo of my face, birthmark fully visible, smile genuine. The moment I stopped hiding, I tell them, was the moment I started living. They nod. These women with their own visible differences, scars, birthmarks, skin conditions. 2 years after Madeline's wedding, I found my purpose in these workshops. My collection of essays, marked, Finding Beauty in What Makes Us Different, sits on a small table by the door. The journey from rejected sister to published author still feels surreal some days. After the workshop, I walk home through autumn leaves that mirror those from the day I received Madeline's invitation. But today their crunch beneath my boots sounds like applause, not judgment. My apartment different now, filled with photographs I've taken of people with visible differences. Their faces radiating joy welcomes me with the scent of the cinnamon candle Emma gave me for my birthday last week. The celebration still warms me. Friends gathered around my dining table, raising glasses to my 32nd year, seeing meal of me without flinching. Dr. Levine says I've made remarkable progress. Family wounds are the deepest, she told me in yesterday's session. Healing from them is a lifelong practice. I settle on my couch and open my laptop to an email from Noah. Unlike Madeline and Deb, my brother has fought his way back into my life with persistent honesty. His messages come weekly, now tentative, but determine bridges across the family divide. I told Dad about your book award yesterday. He didn't say much, but he kept the newspaper clipping. Maybe that's something. I sigh. It's not an apology, but it's more than I expected. Aunt Linda calls to check on me almost daily, her fierce love a bedrock I never knew I needed until my family's foundation crumbled. Mom's letters arrive monthly, written in her perfect penmanship on cream stationery. They rarely mention my birthmark directly, but last week's note included a hesitant question. Would you send me a link to that interview you did about children with birthmarks? It's not understanding. Not yet. But it's reaching. The cream envelope on my coffee table catches my eye another wedding invitation. But nothing like Madeline's. It's from my college roommate Sophia, with a handwritten note tucked inside. You'll be photographed exactly as you are, beautifully you. 5th bridesmaid from the left, please and thank you. I've already checked will attend without hesitation. The contrast isn't lost on me how different it feels to be wanted exactly as I am. Last night, after dinner with Marcus, he kissed me for the first time. His fingers traced the edge of my birthmark with a reverence that made my breath catch. I've wanted to do that since we met, he whispered. The possibility of being loved completely unfolds before me like a map to a country I never thought I'd visit. I placed Sophia's invitation next to a photograph taken at Emma's sister's wedding last month. There I am, standing in the bridal party, birthmark visible, smile radiant. You're perfect just as you are, the photographer had said, not as a reassurance but as a simple fact. The peace I felt in that moment returns now as I touch the photograph. I don't need to be airbrushed into perfection. I don't need to be tolerated or accommodated. You're perfect just as you are, the photographer had said, the words floating around me as the camera clicked. Not a reassurance or empty platitude, simple, undeniable fact. My phone buzzes with a notification. Another registration for next month's workshop. The community I've built extends beyond this City Now an online forum where people share their stories of visible differences, celebrating rather than hiding. Last week, a mother in Australia messaged me about how my essays helped her daughter embrace her facial scar. I smile at the thought. 2 years ago, I could barely meet my own eyes in the mirror. Now I stand before crowds, lead discussions, challenge perceptions. The confidence fills into every corner of my life. The promotion at work, the TED Talk invitation, the morning runs through the park with my head held high. I just need to be me that was always waiting beneath the shame others placed upon me, the me that emerged when I finally chose myself. What does true acceptance mean to you? Is it found in blood family, chosen connections, or within yourself? I discovered it begins with self-love, with standing firmly in your own skin marked or noted, recognizing your inherent worthiness of being seen.